You know that common idea of enlightenment, that it's some kind of blissful, mystical, mind-blowing experience you have to go out and find? Well, what if that's actually a myth? What if the chase for that spiritual high is the very thing holding you back? We're going to explore that by diving into the wild story of one man who went to the ends of the earth looking for it.
So let's just start here. I mean, wow. This is not your typical spiritual story, is it? We're not starting with some serene saint, but with a guy in his 20s describing a life that's, well, a complete mess. This is our introduction to James Swartz, and it really sets the stage for one heck of a transformation.
And here's the twist. Get this. This same man would go on to become a world-renowned spiritual teacher and write a book literally called How to Attain Enlightenment. So the big question is, how do you get from there to here? His journey is basically a masterclass in bridging that gap between worldly chaos and real spiritual clarity.
Okay, so to really get his story, we have to start with a problem that I think a lot of us can relate to. This belief that happiness is something you get out there in the world, through success, money, things.
By his mid-20s, James was living in Hawaii, and he was the definition of success. He was young, he was rich, he was running a chain of stores, a factory, an import company. I mean, on the surface, he had totally won the game.
But inside, his word was rotten. All that external success, it just made his inner misery feel even worse. It wasn't freedom at all. It was more like a gilded cage, a dark labyrinth that he just could not find his way out of.
Then, when he's 26, something really bizarre happens at a post office of all places. He suddenly can't control his own body. A voice that isn't his own starts talking, and then he finds himself walking into the men's room, looks in the mirror, and in one shocking instant, he sees it all, every last bit of his own corruption. But here's the crazy part. Instead of crushing him, seeing that truth lifted this monstrous weight off his shoulders. This was his first, totally unexpected awakening.
So that awakening kicks off his spiritual quest. But, and this is so important for anyone on this path, he completely misunderstood what had just happened to him and what he should actually be looking for.
He thought freedom was that incredible feeling, that mind-blowing high. So, what did he do? Naturally, his whole spiritual life became this desperate chase to get that feeling back, to recapture that temporary state.
And the things he did were pretty extreme. He took LSD hoping for visions. He went to India, did these super intense yoga practices. He even lived in a cave with a cobra. And all of it, every single thing, was aimed at one goal: get that amazing feeling back.
And right here, in his own words, is the fundamental flaw with that whole approach. It would work for a little while. He'd have these profound experiences, feel totally free and happy, and then boom, inevitably, he'd come crashing right back down to earth, because the high always fades. So this endless cycle of spiritual peaks and valleys just led to total burnout. But it was right there, at his absolute breaking point, that his whole understanding of the spiritual path was about to get flipped completely upside down. I mean, after years of chasing and getting nowhere, he was just exhausted. He decided he was done. He thought, to hell with this whole spiritual thing. He was just going to go back to being a normal guy. And isn't this interesting? The very day he finally surrenders, the day he gives up the chase, the path just opens up for him. A whole series of what seemed like random events led him straight to the man who would become his teacher, Swami Chinmayananda.
And this slide right here, this explains the huge lesson he learned. He'd been on an experience-based path, right? Chasing states, feelings, things that are fleeting, temporary. And it just leads to that endless cycle of highs and crashes. What his teacher showed him was a knowledge-based path. This one isn't about seeking a feeling, it's about seeking a stable, permanent understanding that is always present. And that's what ends the cycle for good.
So this knowledge-based path, it has a name. It's an ancient system of self-inquiry called Vedanta, and it turned out to be the exact solution he'd been looking for the whole time.
Now, Vedanta is not a religion you have to believe in or anything like that. It's better to think of it like a science, or maybe a microscope for your own mind. It's a systematic means of knowledge designed to do one specific thing: remove the ignorance we all have about who we truly are. And here's the core teaching. The problem was never that James needed to become free or achieve some special state. Nope. The problem was just ignorance. He didn't realize that he was already the silent, unchanging awareness in which all his thoughts, feelings, and experiences were happening. Freedom isn't something you gain, it's what you already are.
So this totally reframes the whole goal, doesn't it? Enlightenment is no longer some fleeting, mystical feeling. Vedanta defines it as something much more solid. The hard and fast knowledge that I am awareness. See the difference? It's not an experience you have, it's a stable, unshakable understanding of your true identity.
But, for this kind of knowledge to really land and stick, the mind has to be ready for it. It's kind of like you can't do calculus without learning basic math first, right? There are certain inner qualities that prepare you to actually receive this understanding.
Vedanta actually lays out what you could call a seeker's toolkit. You need a burning desire for this freedom more than anything else. You need a mind that can tell the difference between what's temporary and what's permanent. It takes a healthy detachment from just chasing worldly highs and a disciplined mind that's ready to focus. It's all about preparing the soil so that the seed of knowledge can actually take root and grow.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty profound, but what does it actually look like in real life? How does knowing I am awareness practically change anything day to day?
And this is such a crucial point. It doesn't mean you magically become a perfect person. Your old habits, your old fears, your desires, they still show up. But the huge difference is they become non-binding. You can see them arise, but you're not swept away by them anymore, because you know you're the sky, not the passing clouds.
This quote from his first awakening just says it all, doesn't it? The little I, his ego, had spent a lifetime creating chaos, but when that dropped away, just for a few minutes, the real I, pure awareness, acted through him with this effortless wisdom and kindness that his ego could never, ever pull off.
So this brings us to the final question, really, the one that's at the heart of this entire journey. And it's a question for you. In your own life, what are you really looking for? Are you on that hamster wheel, just chasing another temporary high, a better experience? Or are you ready to ask a deeper question, to inquire into the permanent, unshakable knowledge of the freedom that you already are?